Hey everybody, Matt Johnston, and I am back with some more COVID regulations or things of that nature. Before we get started with this particular video, please do me a favor and click the subscribe button that you see down there below. You can also click the bell and get notifications when we post more content. So a blog that I follow pretty closely dealing with employment law has posted probably a not very scientific or scientifically created poll, but it is and does provide some pretty interesting information, at least as far as the most common question that I am getting right now, which is, can I require vaccines of my employees? In light of many recent orders by both President Biden and by state governors requiring certain kinds of workers to obtain mandatory vaccines, the question of mandatory vaccines by employers is, like I said, it's probably the most common employment law question that I am getting right now. So Eric Meyer of the Employer Handbook blog, I'm going to put a link to this particular post down below, conducted a survey last month when he asked, will your business mandate COVID-19 vaccinations for employees? And at that time, so this is about a month ago, 6.7% said they already do, and another 14% said they were planning on doing so or were strongly considering it. And then 38% said probably not, and another 29% said never. Now, those poll results were kind of interesting, but again, a snapshot in time at that point. Mr. Meyer also then asked the same question just yesterday, and the results were 11.7% said we already do require vaccines, another 15.4% said we will do so soon, 41% said probably not, and 20.7%, or just about 21%, said never. So it is interesting that the probably not number went up a little bit. I don't know what Mr. Meyer's sample size was, but that could be well within the range of possibility. But that number seems to be holding steady. And it is largely questions related to whether or not we're going to do it or not do it. Truth be told, while it is perfectly legal to do so, it is perfectly within both CDC recommendations, it is approved by the EEOC, it is approved by OSHA, and it's certainly being recommended by the administration. I think that this really does boil down to an individual business owner's perception. I have one client who said they will absolutely not be requiring it, because they, in good conscience, cannot do so for a variety of reasons. I've had other clients say, yeah, absolutely, we're going to provide it, and we're absolutely going to require it. So my clientele is kind of in the same bailiwick as these results. There's a few people that are already requiring it, there's a few people that are going to strongly be considering it, and others that are saying absolutely not, never going to do it, never going to happen, those sorts of situations. So it is a situation where it is very much an individual choice. But the interesting thing that I see happening is that quite a few employers are starting to question, in light of the various variants that are going around, they're reconsidering their position on this. And so that is why I think I'm getting a lot of questions on it. I strongly encourage people to go back. There's some previous videos. If you just sort of go back in time a little bit, you'll see some videos where I'm talking about, if I mandate it, what do I have to do? So the videos that we put out last week can help answer those questions. The one thing that I do want to caution people about is, how do you go about handling those people who are going to refuse? And if you have an individual in your employ who is going to refuse to get the vaccine for whatever reason, you need to take a nice, good, long, hard look and have a fairly lengthy conversation with a lawyer before you start taking negative job actions. Now, most states, Maryland included, are at-will employment states, and so you can terminate somebody for any or no reason. But the one thing that I do caution people think about is, what is the precedent that you're willing to set? How are you prepared to do that? If you fire somebody because they choose not to get a vaccine despite company policy, you could find yourself on the wrong end of a public relations nightmare. So be mindful of where that is. Be mindful and take a read of the room, take a read of the community, and make a decision that is best for you and your business. But be mindful that we live in a world where social media is very easy to access, and where a lot of people will get very up in arms very quickly, particularly when they do not have all of the information. So for example, I've seen many a post where people are talking about, well, I don't understand why this person doesn't get a vaccine. Well, the fact of the matter is we don't know all of the facts and circumstances that that person has. And to extrapolate from one particular portion of a decision-making process is likely to lead us in a wrong direction. We will end up in a situation where we're making assumptions, and those assumptions are going to probably lead us into hot water. So if you're dealing with an employee who is refusing to get a vaccine, it might be worth recognizing that they're in a different position, and their employer mandate to get a vaccine is but one factor in their decision-making process. And it's not necessarily going to be political or personal or anything like that. There's probably a variety of factors that go into this. So I do want to tell a slightly personal story here. About a year ago, my father passed away as a result of cancer. And at that time, of course, the COVID vaccine was not available. But I think that if my father had had a choice of determining whether or not to take a vaccine, it would have been a tough choice. His immune system was riddled by both cancer and the cancer treatment that he was receiving, and it is a dubious question to understand whether or not taking a COVID vaccine with its potential side effects would have been a wise decision or not. Now, I've only told you a few aspects of what his situation was. There's a lot more aspects that go into it. And so simply assuming that somebody is refusing to get it because they don't like the politics of it, or you don't understand their personal positions, is likely to be a negative assumption. And so be very careful about that. So going back to my previous point, if you're going to mandate vaccines in your workplace and you have an employee who is refusing, please be sure you speak to counsel before you make the decision to terminate. In the meantime, if you want to see some other content, well, first you can subscribe hitting this button. Other content is over here. And in the meantime, go out and watch some live soccer. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.